Welcome back to Future Role Model. I'm your host, Natasha Pearl Hansen, and we are on the same episode, second half, with my Grandma Mo, my actual real-life role model here at the People of Comedy Network in Chicago. So I want to pick up where we left off on our little break there. You have just, in your life story, gotten divorced after gifting your husband to the woman that he got pregnant, which is a really cool sentence to say, leading anyone back into a podcast. Hopefully you listened to the episode before this, so that all makes sense. So you're living in Chicago at this point, and you've got to be what, 27?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I wanted to backtrack for a second because you've always, like you said, you always checked the black box. It was black versus white, and you got really involved in civil rights when you were still with Grandpa, right? Is that when? Oh, it was after.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting to that point of your life.
I couldn't,
because it's not quite the 60s yet at this point. No, it is early 60s.
No, it is
early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what happened right after you guys got divorced? You were raising the kids on your own?
Oh, yeah.
Mom and Craig?
Well, I was anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
you think
true.
about it. And him. So I was minus one child.
Phew. The most expensive one, too, I'm sure.
But he used it. One of the things I want to share that, was kind of funny. I mean, again, I always had a positive attitude. I don't know why. And he came in one morning at like 4 in the morning and actually 6, because I'm getting up, getting ready to go to work. And he comes in and tells me he's hungry. And I said, "Do you mean to tell me you've been with her all night and she didn't feed you?" I was serious. You're coming home hungry and you've been with her all night?
Oh, my gosh.
And that always got me in trouble.
Oh, yeah. That's when he would get...
That's when he'd hit me or something,
Yeah.
I've gone to work with busted lip, and you have to lie. You and
I are similar. We have our words are our fighting points.
Yeah, I mean, you don't go to work and say my husband beat me this morning, so my lip is busted wide. I should have had stitches actually, and what happened? And I said, I know better than to try to skateboard.
Grandma. Making shit up.
Yeah, just making shit up. Another time I said I had to stop so fast my mouth hit the steering wheel. Damn it.
Oh.
I mean, I know. I mean, you're not going to go to work back. You don't do that back then. You don't tell people your husband beat you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people do that.
It's embarrassing anyway.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But anyway, shortly after, really right away, I had a really nice apartment, unfortunately, because it really was. I was on the second floor, but it had a full screen in front porch across the front, which made my children's playroom. I had all their toys out there, and, it just was a neat apartment. I had got them bunk beds in their bedroom. It was a 2-bedroom, wonderful big kitchen. Really nice apartment for $80. Now, back then...
$80?
Yeah, but back then that was a lot of money.
I know, but still, it sounds so cheap right now.
I know. For me, but there was this old Mexican man that lived on the first floor, and it's so I just love to think about him. His nails were real long and always dirty, and he loved his wine, and that sweet man would actually make my kids peanut butter and jelly because they'd get home from school before I got home from work. Mm-hmm. And they were what do they call them? Latchkey kids.
Yeah.
That's what they were.
Yeah.
But I had him. This old man would watch my children. I mean, make sure they were okay. They were upstairs playing, but he would make them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with his long, dirty fingernails. It was so funny. And that didn't bother me at all. It's like this kind old man is making sandwiches for my kids, And one time a lot of times I went to hand him rent and he would push my hand back.
Stop it.
Yes. So I'd go buy him a bottle of wine because that's what he wanted. So I'd buy his wine. So that was kind of a neat part of my life. But guess what? I had a fire.
How did the fire start?
It was electrical.
Shit.
Lost
everything.
I was at a beach at the time. I took my kids to the beach every night during the summer.
Here, Lake Michigan.
Carmen probably has
Right?
mentioned that to you. Yeah.
Right here. Mm-hmm.
Every night we went to the beach in the summer.
You get them a hot dog.
Did hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They went swimming. I sat in a blanket and read. And someone came to my blanket and said, your house is on fire.
I know.
So guess what? All we had is what we had on. That was it. I lost everything.
Every photo.
All my baby pictures, which meant, I just thought about that. It's really sad because you know me, I've always been a photographer.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have any baby
You wouldn't
pictures
have
of
your
me.
album. You
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have the album you have.
I know.
And I did the same thing. Anyway, I had precious pictures of really good shots of my kids, But lost all my. Now, come on, I'm working. You wear suits and heels back then. I mean, you dressed,
Mm-hmm.
classy.
Yeah.
And I probably owned, I'm going to guess, maybe 8 good suits. You didn't have a lot. I couldn't afford a lot. I lost all that.
And you were working at Encyclopedia Britannica, right?
Yes. Now I'm at an Encyclopedia Britannica. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to start over. And I remember taking my children. This is what really is mind-blowing. I remember taking my children because I needed to get some food. Okay? I went to get help. Now, a lot of people don't know this. But back then, what they call AFDC, that's aid
Mm-hmm.
for mothers that didn't work,
Mm-hmm.
right? I could not get any food for my children because I had a job. That
Wow.
was how that worked back then.
Dang.
I said I had to give my children Cheerios this morning with no milk. That's all I had. They said, well, we're sorry. We can't help you. You have a job. I said, fine. I said, Carmen and Craig, sit down. This is in the office. Bye. Mommy's leaving. This is what.
What?
Now, I wouldn't have left them, but that was for the sake. That woman gave me some food.
No way.
Yes.
You
So
left them in
mommy
the
has no food for you, so you can't come with me. Bye.
What? Oh my God.
That woman gave me a box of food that day.
Holy
So
shit.
now I didn't mention that unreal again. I went to buy a car. Now I'm on my job now for 10 years.
What did you do housing wise after you lost the house?
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So I saw a brand new, do you know what a gremlin is? Does anyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was the sports model of a gremlin with the bucket seats, brand new,
Hell yeah.
going around inside the car dealer.
Like on a spinning thing?
Yeah, I said I want that car. Now I have never bought anything in my life, but let me tell you, when you're on a job for 10 years, that looks good. Back then, I got that car. Now I'm paying $80 a month for a car, which is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm this single parent, but because look, I've got these 2 kids. I got to get to daycare on the subway.
And you got to look
Then
good while you're doing it.
Yeah.
May as well.
Well, I mean, I gotta get back on the subway and get to my job. I need a car. I mean, my kids were still young.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I got this car. Went to get an apartment. Now I'm sleeping in my car. The kids I sent to Alan, to their dad. Said, you got to take, I had a fire. You got to take care of the kids till I get a place. But I never messed around. I didn't fool around. Look at that. That's
He's
my
pulling up a
gremlin.
picture of the gremlin.
That's great. That is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wasn't yours green too?
No, it was butterscotch, orange.
Okay.
Is that what you'd call?
Nice. There it is.
Yeah. Butter with the pinstripes for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, mag wheels. I mean, unreal. Again, now if you think about it, there's a single parent. She's got a nerve to go out and buy a brand new car, She's already got expenses. She's got daycare. She's got lights. She's got rent, But I just did it. And my kids loved it because I know Carmen probably used to tell you how I'd go over the bumps in the bumps in the road.
Uh-huh.
How I vroom, and no car. There were no seat belts back then, so the kids would fly. Their heads would hit the ceiling, and they'd laugh.
Craig probably had a little
It was
afro
so fun.
back then.
Oh my Lord, yeah. So I was having fun with my kids. But anyway, so I go to get this apartment. This is what's really funny. My whole life is a joke, actually. I go to get this apartment, and I was telling him upstairs a little bit about how, because I was asking him, did he,
James.
Yeah, James. Did you have a problem getting an apartment with your dogs?
Yeah.
Back in my days, you didn't get an apartment with kids.
With kids?
They did not allow kids.
What?
This was there. See, back then there was nothing that could stop people from
Being prejudiced about anything.
They could do anything.
Yeah.
They could stop you. Yeah.
Raise
you had
kids.
no rights.
Yeah.
So he told me, he didn't allow children, and I said, "Oh, you mean you'll take my rent for me to live with rats and roaches? But I can't have children because those I was in the ghetto. Now I'm still in the ghetto.
Yeah.
I've always lived
in the hood.
Yeah, yeah. And they're funky apartments, but I said, shame on you. I told him, shame on you. Now, this had one bedroom and a bed that came out of the living room wall.
What do they call those?
Hideaways?
No, it has a name.
It starts with an M. I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue.
They're so cool. They're really neat.
Yeah.
So, because I'm saying, oh, wow, this apartment's perfect.
It was a convertible apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially.
Now I have no furniture.
Murphy beds.
Yeah. What do they call them?
Murphy beds.
Oh, okay. So I thought the kids have a bedroom. I have a bed. That's all I need. Now you got to remember, I didn't mention how at Encyclopedia Britannica this girl comes, and that I hired, who was going through a divorce and has 2 children.
Yeah.
I didn't mention her.
Sorry. Well, we should cover that. That's Auntie Yaya, and I just performed in Irvine, and Auntie Yaya lives out there, and she showed up at my show. I hadn't seen her in
and that's a shocker.
20 years.
I don't even know how she came into a place like that.
I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, we'll cover that.
Well, yeah, that's important because she was a super drug addict. Mm-hmm. She's the one that's rolling the marijuana in the.
How did you meet Yaya?
She came.
That's not her real name, by the way. So it's at least we're disguising it.
Guess what? Another Mary.
I know.
We don't go there. Mary Maceo. Gosh. Mary Lou. But she came looking for a job, and
you were in charge of everybody at this point, right? You were the supervisor.
Right. So I do all the hiring, all the training. So I'm talking to her, and, she's telling me that she's going through a divorce, had a very abusive husband, has 2 children, living with her mother, miserable. I hire her that day and move her in with me. Don't know her.
So you move into this apartment. So there's 2 adult women, single moms, and 4 children.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and Robert and Trisha were her kids, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's sleeping bags. It was a nice sized dining room, actually. Now I went out and bought a dining room set, believe it or not. But I went out in the alley, and there was a bucket seat from a car.
I remember you telling me that.
The most comfortable couch I've ever had.
Hell yeah.
Brought it in, cleaned it up. That was my couch. Bought sleeping bags. Now, the kids, my 2 children could sleep in the bedroom. Whoever wanted to sleep. Actually, the 2 girls, I think, ended up. But I had sleeping bags around the wall in the dining room. I came home. Let me just say that I started raising her children because she was an extremely heavy drug user. You were not bringing drugs to my house. And she had a boyfriend that, that she basically lived with quite a bit. I said, you can go stay with your boyfriend. I'll take care of the children, but as long as you're doing I could have had, I want to share that I could have, there again, there was a choice. I could have had anything I wanted free. Coke, name it, speed.
Yeah.
There was a few times I took uppers because, wow, you love everybody on uppers. I mean, I could work.
You do.
I went to work excited,
That was like the mushrooms back
It's
in
like,
the day.
hello, America.
Oh
Hello,
my God.
hello, world. Here I am. I mean, it was great because, you just didn't get tired on uppers.
Yeah.
But when you came down, it was a drag.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that too often. But, I had that little experience. And I did try Coke once, and that's a really good high. That's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So I let that go. I did, but I could have had anything. I could have become a free drug user.
Mm-hmm.
Could have had anything I wanted through her. But I didn't choose that because, again, my children were more important. I was a very responsible parent.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a real responsible human being, obviously, to get as far as I did, So, yes, I basically ended up really raising her two kids for quite a few years.
I remember.
And Trisha, she was an extremely abusive mom because she just did some horrible stuff. Trisha got locked in a closet one day, all day with no food. I mean, I can't name the stuff.
Robert got burned, right?
She was meaner to Trisha.
She was. Okay.
Because Robert was so afraid of his mom. He waited on her hand and foot. So then she was okay with Robert. But Trisha was real afraid of her.
Which one played with matches and she burned Trisha?
Trisha was going to actually kill her mom.
Whoa.
Yeah. That was her intention, was to start the curtains on fire, close the door. Her mom was in bed.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Yes. Not very many people know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I got, to just kind of skip ahead with those two. Trisha her mom eventually went to California because her mom, I think, was out there. And then for some unknown reason, which really surprised me, Trisha went to California.
Yeah.
Which kind of surprised, I don't know.
I think her and I are connected on Facebook, actually, and she's reached out to me a couple times, but we've never, obviously, she's mom's age, so.
Well, yeah, and I have no contact whatsoever, which, I did in North Carolina with Yaya and was very sorry.
Yeah.
I thought at this age she would be over the drug abuse, but she wasn't.
Right.
But anyway, so from there, I did get I got in touch with Trisha for a while because she had her own business. Out there in California, and she was doing pretty good. But anyway, she just told me that at one point she was going to kill herself.
As an adult.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was going to take her life, but she thought of me.
And didn't.
And
I remember,
that's wonderful. That really touched my heart. Because that meant she really knew how much I loved her and how much that would hurt me. Why she would even think of me, right? See?
Yeah.
So if you leave that kind of impression on a human being, that's great.
A lot of people can't say that.
No, she's alive because I loved her and took care of her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So after you lived with Yaya for a while, what was the next step after that? You were still at Encyclopedia. When did you do the nails? You already did the nails, right?
When I was working at Encyclopedia Britannica, I went into Carson Pierce. What was it?
Carson Pierce Scott?
Carson Peary Scott. I think the name of the stores. And there was the woman doing the cultured nail. Now, this is the woman that actually came up with the cultured nail. She's from Texas. I don't remember her name, but she's the one that actually invented the cultured nail. Okay? And she was looking for technicians to train. So I went into a booth, and she would give you, this stuff and see how and I had a real steady hand. She hired me right away. See, there again. Look at.
Yeah.
It's like the jobs just fell in my lap.
So you worked both those jobs.
I worked
at the
both
time.
those jobs. So I did the nails.
She did all the nails of the Playboy bunnies here in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of the first nail technicians in Chicago.
Yeah, I was one of the very first. And I was Bonwit Teller. I don't know if it exists. Was one of the exclusive high class.
Like a salon?
It was a salon. And all of the hair technicians there basically were gay. They were gay men, which are so fun.
Right?
They're
Aren't they?
so fun. I mean, they're really, they're just neat people. And, the world is, can have their opinion. But I'm going to tell you something, because they're like girlfriends. They're your girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And they dress. They're very, it's very important for them to dress well. They carry themselves well. They're very polite. They don't mean harm to anybody, And even when I was living in the ghetto, I'm surrounded by gays and alcoholics. I mean, name it.
Yeah.
That's another whole story. Because I'm going to tell you, when you live around these people, and I fed, I didn't get into that, but I always cooked every night, and I fed through the window. Remember me sharing that with you?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I would make plates, and whoever wanted a plate, I'd feed people. Well, guess what? They got your back.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nobody was going to bother me. I was, yeah.
Well, and that's what I always said that when I first started comedy, even here in Chicago, the community that accepted me immediately, because gay men love really strong, independent women. And I got all my first massive amounts of stage time were all because of a supportive community up in Boys Town.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a...
So, I had fun working there, and I mean, but that could not be my career, because, again, I had benefits with my job at the office, of course. That was a full-time job. I like the fact that I had that opportunity. The tips were amazing.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
I worked on, there's women that would, at that time, have you come to their home to do their nails. These are women that lived in the high rise.
Now.
I went in up in the high rise, went in, and I mean, there's $100 bills laying around, it's like unreal. And you get $200 tips.
Which back then was a lot.
I could have made it a career, but it was risky. I had a secure job. So I did that for a while, but then I had to let that go. There was a time when I thought, I could start my own business. Remember I told you, and I had a name for it, Have Nails Will Travel. And it would have been cool, but it was chancy. You have to have money to invest. And I didn't have that. So I had these great ideas and no money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's most people's problem.
Yeah. So from there, what happened was I said, I still was messed up kind of emotionally, not, I don't know how to explain it. I knew I needed to do something for my brain.
Yeah.
That's when I said, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go.
Yep.
That's when I went to Kennedy. I enrolled at Kennedy King College, and I'm still working a full-time job. And I told Yaya, my friend, I said, look, I need you a couple nights a week. I'm going to go to school. So I started working on my degree. And I need to bring this up because that's how I got out of Chicago. So I have this English teacher, teacher then, because you're not a professor unless you're at a 4. I don't know if people know that. You have to be at a 4.
Oh, a 4-year college.
To be a professor.
Otherwise, okay.
This was a 2-year. You're a teacher. Okay. But I was taking English, learning to write, and this teacher.
Is this Bill?
This is Bill. This teacher was very attracted to me, wanted me to go out with him. And I said, no, that's not going to work because you're not going to give me an A plus just because I'm seeing you. I want an A+ because I know how to write. So I didn't. Anyway, long story. I finished the course, and we started dating. And one night he just came.
What'd you get in the course?
A+.
Hell yeah.
But again, this again. I was not here's this black man. Okay, again, this is impressive. Here's this black
She
man.
only liked black men.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't know the difference. I mean, I was not prejudiced. It's just like I don't belong in this society, in the white society. I don't fit. It's just not, ever since a little girl, I had made a choice. That's all I knew. I really was black in my mind.
Yeah.
Blacks don't hang out with whites, back then.
Yeah.
It just did. So, I mean, it wasn't a prejudice thing. It's like, I don't fit. This just isn't me. And I wouldn't know anything about this part of life. So anyway, this was a black man who had gotten a master's degree at the University of Chicago. That was a rarity.
Yeah.
That was impressive to me. Here's a black man, educated black man. I'd never known that.
Yeah.
All I knew was abuse. So I was impressed with that, not him. I was impressed.
His accomplishments.
Yes, I was impressed. And in a way, I think about, what? Everybody should take note when they start to date somebody. Don't look at the person. Look at everything else about them. Make a list.
Yeah.
Even their family.
Yeah.
Because it's really important. But anyway, he just came to my apartment one night on real, and he said, "That's it. You're coming with me." And I thought, here we go again, an out. This is an out for me.
A new fresh start.
Because, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with 2 kids. Yeah. This guy wants to take care of me and my children. Go for it.
Where did he make you go?
DeKalb, Illinois.
DeKalb, Illinois. That's right.
So that's where I continued my studies.
Right.
At Northern Illinois University. I went to school, got a job at the university, part-time job, and worked on my studies.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah. But that...
The kids didn't like Bill. Mom didn't like Bill.
Bill, unbeknown to me, he had he had a really hard childhood being black. He was very dark black, which, I just have to mention because it made it worse. Yeah. Unfortunately, back then.
Well,
and he...
racism was really... It's not like it's much better now, but it was exceptionally bad back then.
It was bad. We couldn't... he couldn't go anywhere without people staring or making faces, or not waiting on him.
Which is so fucked.
You could go somewhere and they could refuse to wait on you. Even in a drugstore, anywhere, they could refuse to wait on you. So he went through all that. Bill had a drinking problem, but I didn't know it. He's what I call professional
functional alcoholic.
Yeah.
Which I joke about plenty, but that's a real thing.
It's a real thing
for a lot of people.
Because he went every day at the he got and taught. He was an excellent teacher. But that was not going to be my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. He did come home and become a different person. There were 2 personalities, and the one at night was not good. He was not physically abusive, but he was verbally abusive.
Which is damaging.
It's really scared my kids.
Yeah.
And Carmen especially.
Yeah.
Was very traumatized. Yeah. And it was ignorant because these are kids. She's only 10 years old.
Right.
And he had a daughter. He had a daughter and a son. So you think he would have been nicer, having 2 of his own children that he loved. He was divorced. But, so here we go again. I have to have a plan. I'm not going to stay with this man. Now what do I do? Do I stay in DeKalb? No. DeKalb's basically white. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
There were,
Still is, I think.
I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm thinking of my children, not me. What's fair to my children? Do I want them to grow up in this society? They're mixed kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in an all-white society, there were maybe 2 blacks. Bill was one of them, and the coach was black.
Mm-hmm.
That was it
Mm-hmm.
in this whole university. So Bill was going to go back to Chicago and work on his doctorate in African languages and literature.
Mm-hmm.
Had I stayed with him, I probably would have been able to see Africa.
Yeah.
But I knew, you know, that we ended up going back to Madison. I don't remember why he went back to Madison, but he was going to continue at the university. I'm sorry.
In Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin. Yeah, that's where he was going to continue his studies. So we end up back in Madison. It was the last place I want to go.
No shit.
But I said, this is the best place for my children. See, again, I'm thinking of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we go there, and he gets a job at this church cleaning part-time, and he gets an apartment for nothing. So it's summer. I send the children to Chicago with their dad.
Mm-hmm.
Make a plan. I've got to get away from him. So I start packing everything that I own and hiding it so he couldn't see the boxes. End up buying a mobile home. Went and bought a mobile home on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he found out, he heard me on the phone or something making,
Fuck.
yeah, grabbed my hand from the phone and broke fingers. Broke my fingers. I've had eye surgery from, yeah, I've had some stuff done from, you know, being beat.
Yeah.
But he had never been abusive till,
That. When
till
he thought you were
hurt.
leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, so anyway, I got out.
So you got out. You
got out.
You
Yeah.
got the mobile home. So where'd you put the mobile home?
It was already on a
On
lot,
a lot.
in a mobile home park. And I had a really neat motor home that at night you could see the Capitol.
Oh,
Had
no
a
way.
Plain full view of the Capitol at night.
That's crazy.
Beautiful. Yeah. So and that's when I bought my first motorcycle.
Taught yourself how to ride?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a 250 to start on. Then I went to a 750 Kawasaki, 2-stroke.
Yeah.
Men will know what that is. It's a fast bike.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fast
You just
bike.
keep getting cooler.
I know. I know. And how old were you at this? You were probably early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
when did you meet Grandpa Kurt?
Well, so I'm riding. I'm riding. I'm the only woman in Madison at that time on a motorcycle.
Uh-huh.
Not that that meant anything to me, but I'm just have to make that point because there was a motorcycle group, could call it a gang, called Smoking Wheels. And I was riding one day. I lived on my bike. I went to work on my bike. I lived on my bike.
And at this point, did you have... Grandma had a fro forever because you have Italian thick hair and you would pluck it out and...
Oh, yeah.
All your pictures, the early
Yeah.
days of on the
Had a fro.
motorcycle, she had a fro. She had a
Yeah,
full-on
because you
fro.
didn't have to wear a helmet. I don't think you still do in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I never wore a helmet because they're very confining. I mean, you can't turn. You can't...
Can't really see.
Yeah, and they don't really save you. I mean, you can still break your neck.
Yeah.
Why wear But what I'm going to tell you what the helmet thing's all about is the state does not want to take care of your behind if you live.
Yeah, I know it's true.
That's what that's all about. They don't really care.
Oh, Jesus.
So anyway, so I'm riding, and this whole group of men, Smoking Wheels, is going this way. It's so fun. They all whip around because they see this woman on this bike, and the president of the club was very impressive, and I actually ended up dating him. Not long, not for long, because again, I'll tell you, if there's one thing if I see one thing that's not right about you, I mean, whether it's drugs, whatever,
Because of what you've already been through. Yeah.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started dating him and right away found out he was living with a woman. He had a girlfriend that he was living with. Shame on you.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I was a goody-goody, but I kind of was. You know, this little Catholic girl.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No way. And she came. This is so neat. She came to my apartment to meet me. I don't know how she found out about me. And she's shaking and smoking I mean, she's real nervous. And I said, I am so sorry. I didn't know about you, but I do. I'm done with him. He's yours. I have nothing to do with him. It's over. So I fixed that. I mean, it's just these little things in my life that I went through that was, so then I lived a life alone on my bike with my kids, for a couple years.
Yeah.
I didn't care about a man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just work. I'm in love with my bike. I'm taking photography classes. So I'm riding all around town with my camera around my neck, and I'm riding through campus, and I'm taking pictures because I'm trying to actually get my photos on calendars, get my photos on anything that I could. And I really had good photos, but they never made it. I really did. I was really getting good at it, and they never went anywhere. But that was my life, was photography and riding my bike, taking care of my kids. So,
and then how did Grandpa Kurt come into the picture?
Okay, so I was out in the park. I think, again, the kids were gone for the summer because I don't remember having them around. And I was out in the park under a tree reading a book. I rode my bike out into this park, and I'm reading a book, and he came over to meet me, I guess. Say hi. Now, again, there's only one club in all of Madison that the blacks went to, on Park Street, down like on Park Street.
Mm-hmm. Was it a jazz club?
No, not exactly, but that's where you went after work. Blacks. It was a black club, and so I went there. Of course, I was never a drinker, but I'd go and have everybody went there. If you wanted to socialize, that's where you go after work. And I had a glass of wine, and so I would see Kurt there. And I remember when I was still seeing Bob, that was Smoking Wheels Bob. I was still seeing him. I only saw him for a couple months, but I was still seeing him, and Kurt asked me to dance. This is so funny the way I was. And I said, I'm sorry I can't dance with you because I'm seeing somebody. That's how I was. Very faithful.
Yeah.
You just didn't do that.
Yeah.
You didn't play with people.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he said, well, Grandpa, the most wonderful man walking earth.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an excellent reputation. He had just been through a divorce. But he said, well, if ever you're able, I would love to take you to breakfast. And 2 years later, I mean, really, it was like almost 2 years later, I just wasn't seeing anybody. I just wanted to be left alone.
You saw him in the park?
No, yeah, but that we just exchanged a few words and not much. That was that. But I'd see him at the club, and I finally told him he could take me to breakfast. And we sat and we had breakfast, and we talked about relationships and how we would never get married again, neither one of us. But so that story. We kept seeing each other, and just the most wonderful, safe, kind.
He really was.
Had a wonderful reputation. I knew it.
And he also had started, because I remember this, because when Grandpa passed away a few years ago, the only things I took from your house were his articles about him. I have a folder. I have his sweaters, and I have a folder of all of the cool stuff about him. And there was a headline. Do you remember that headline? It was Madison Black.
Yes.
Starts construction business?
Window.
Windows. That's how they worded it. Madison Black.
Yeah.
They didn't even give him a name in the headline.
No. but you know, in short, just that story short, Kurt manufactured his own windows.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been a millionaire. He would have been a millionaire. And he put his windows in some huge office building here, and they filed bankruptcy.
Yep.
And his business went down. Lost everything. Everything.
Yep. Which is
And
crazy.
Kurt, my husband, was a lot like me that way. You know that. His character.
Instead of fighting for, he was just like moving on.
Kind. Just move on. Didn't have any hate or, you know, nothing. I mean, he was unreal.
I know.
Yeah. So we're dating and we're out one night. We're on our way to Milwaukee to visit one of his friends. And on the way back, I said, you know, we've been dating 2 years. We're on the same page all the time. Never had any disagreements. We enjoy each other. Nobody should grow old alone. We should get married. Because he's very shy.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very shy. And let me say, I don't know what date it was. Maybe, gosh, we'd probably been dating 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought me home and asked permission to kiss me. Come on.
Oh.
He asked permission.
Oh, Grandpa.
Yeah. So, I mean, this was an amazing man. You know why I miss him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I miss him so much and I'm thankful for the years we had.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, of course, you know, he's from North Carolina, so we ended up moving to North Carolina.
Yeah, because
I would do anything he wanted.
Yeah, you guys moved to North Carolina, and that's why we moved to North Carolina.
Yeah.
I was
well,
already...
I begged Carmen.
I was 2 at that point.
Yeah, I begged Carmen to come because I didn't want to lose you.
You know, I remember living in Madison at age 2.
Wow.
I remember that. I remember
my trailer?
visuals of the inside of your trailer.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you were little.
Because you used to put me on top of your dryer to
Yep.
make me go to sleep.
Yes.
I remember that.
And your baby seat.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I remember what that trailer looked
and
like.
I carried you on my
it.
back a lot in the house.
You had a white table that had a center that could move in and out of it, and it had black speckles on it.
Yeah.
Gosh. Is that crazy that I remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to North Carolina because this is where things get really fun because I was alive.
Because you were alive.
But we moved to North Carolina, and then my parents decided to move back to Wisconsin because I was born in Wisconsin. To be raised in the town my dad is from, which I'm very grateful I was because all my friends are fucking awesome.
I know.
And, you know, I would have been a totally different person if I was raised in the South. But they moved me back when I was 7. And I remember being in your front yard at Barbecue Church Road,
yes.
grabbing onto your legs.
Yes. Breaking my heart.
I was screaming. I didn't want to leave my grandma. But, you know, I think about it now, and I'm like, if I hadn't had those years living across the country from you, maybe we wouldn't have spoken every day. Maybe I would have been desensitized to the fact that I had you around.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm happy for your life.
Yeah.
But you were my whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know, just going back a little bit, I went from Encyclopedia Britannica to Wisconsin Power and Light.
Mm-hmm.
A better job. That was excellent. Well, again, when I found out Carmen was pregnant, and people, again, this is something. It's a trip. I quit my job. I told my husband, I'm done working.
She wanted to raise me.
I said I never got to enjoy my children because, you know, I had to raise them alone. I had to work hard and, you know, I was with my children every night, but, you know.
Well, and my mom was like 20 when she got pregnant. So if it wasn't for you, who knows what the fuck I would have turned out like.
I don't know.
I was being raised by a child.
But I'm telling my husband, I said, I didn't get to enjoy my babies. You know, I had to hand them over at 6 weeks. It broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't supposed to have children. I was told by a doctor I'd never have children. So when I got pregnant, I was elated.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted children. I wanted babies. But anyway, my husband, bless his heart, I know probably shocked him, but of course, wouldn't say a word.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm quit because I had a good job. But so did he. And I said, and we're in my trailer. I mean, he moved in, we got married and he moved in with me.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned moving into his apartment. I said, that doesn't make any sense. I have a home that's paid for.
You mean the one on barbecue?
No, I'm talking about the trailer now. When we first moved into the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah. That's when she got pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because we're still there.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, I'm quitting my job because I'm going to be around my granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to enjoy my children. It was like a big deal to me. And he never said anything, but he kind of looked concerned. And I said, let me tell you, I've had good jobs. If you can't take care of me, if it doesn't work out, I can get a job. That's not a problem. But then, and kind of jokingly, I said, but if you can't take care of me, you don't deserve me. Kind of joked with him.
Yeah.
But seriously, that was a big decision for me. It was an important decision for me. I was going to be around you from day one, and I was with you every day.
Oh, I know.
Every day from the day you were born till you left at age 7.
Yeah, and I remember the house on Barbecue Church. What a funny name, Barbecue Church Road.
I
Like,
know.
who names a road that?
You know
what the fuck is that?
That's the name of a church. Can you believe
Barbecue Church?
that? Yes.
What?
There's a church at the end of that road called Barbecue Church. And that's how the road got.
What a fucking weird name for a church.
That's the South.
But that house, because my grandma volunteered at an animal hospital, and she would take...
No, I worked. I actually worked there.
Oh, okay, you worked.
I did.
She did the front desk, and when people would bring in their animals to put them to sleep, she'd be like, no, I'm going to take them home. So she had a cat with, like, all sorts of problems. Fred. You didn't have Fred. He was blind and missing 2 of his legs.
Yeah, he was hit by a car. And they had to wire his jaws.
She would put the food in his mouth and manually help him chew. It was crazy. I had a bunny rabbit, multiple dogs, baby ducks, all at once.
Yeah.
And so
I took mama dog had all these. They gave her a pill to. They gave this. People are a trip. People that own purebreds that breed them. If they mate with the wrong purebred, these are still purebreds. If they mate with the wrong male, they don't want those.
They give them a pill to kill the babies?
Yeah, so that the mother will miscarry. Well, 7 little puppies were born, and they were all fine. It was all full term almost. So when I come, it's funny to bring this up. So when I come to work the next morning, I see 7 needles laid out on this table. And I asked Dr. John, what's going on? He says, well, she wants the puppies put down, and you can't take anything without permission now from the owner. So I go to the owner and I go, look, I'll take the puppies. This is a trip. She said, really? I said, yes. These were purebred coonhounds. Okay? Beautiful dogs. She said, well, if you want the puppies, I'll let you take the mother. This is crazy. For so many weeks so they can all nurse. She gave me the mother. She loaned me the mother.
That's crazy.
I know. So they're down in my kitchen. Do you remember the gray stucco house?
I remember everything.
Lower kitchen.
Yeah.
Great kitchen.
Yep.
Round
That's
kennel.
where the Papazon chair was.
Yeah. That's where the mama was with all the puppies. And then when they got weaned, Mama went back to the owner, found homes for all the puppies.
And she had I remember all the houses, but this was the coolest part of my childhood, I think, was when you guys did get your property. So my grandma and grandpa, I don't remember how this happened, but somewhere along grandpa's great-grandparents, they owned this
property,
land, 90 acres of land in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina.
They were slaves.
Yeah.
This is what's cool. They were slaves.
And how did they end up inheriting this?
Well, what happens back then, slaves, the masters, being the white slave owners, a lot of times would give, once the slave was over, would give them a portion of land. That just happened sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
With rich masters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that's what happened. So they ended up with all
It
this
was
land,
air property, but
which is all woods.
it was in the middle of the woods. There was nothing refined about it. It was just in the middle of North Carolinian jungle, essentially. And so, when they were about to buy, the house you were living in was up for sale, the gray stucco house,
Yeah.
for $17,000,
Yeah,
right?
we were kind of
They
thinking
were selling a
about it.
house for fucking $17,000. I was 9 at that point,
Yeah.
and you almost bought the house, but instead you said,
Well, we were thinking about it, but I said, your grandparents have this land. Now, again, I know my husband. I know he never, ever voiced his desires in life. He didn't do it, but I knew most of the time what they were. I knew his heart. He was an amazing person. I just don't know how there's just no words to explain this man. There's nobody like him.
I know. There really
There
isn't.
just isn't. And so I knew this land meant. First of all, we're the only ones paying taxes. We've been paying taxes on this land since we moved there. Because people stop paying. They'll take your land. So we literally saved it. So we're paying taxes. And not that meant a lot to me, but I'm saying to my husband, you know what? There's all this land that your great-grandparents, who knows what they went through to get that. And nobody wants it in your family. That's a sin. That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crime. We need to go out. We're paying taxes on it. Why buy this? We can go out in the woods. That was my desire anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Get lost, in the woods. And there was, we didn't borrow any money. We're in our 50s. I don't want to go into debt in my 50s. So we're both working still. And so little by little, it took us 7 years. Put the road in first.
Well, no, first I want to talk about the house, though, because you got the house. So listen to this. They had to pave away. Yeah, you had to pave the space.
We had to put a road in.
Plow some of the trees and make a space.
Yeah, into the woods.
But tell about how you got the house.
Okay. There was a house across a 2-story, I don't know what they call them, manufactured home. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're nice. But they don't call them mobile homes because they're 2-story. It's
but
a
they
house.
pick them up and put them on a
Yeah,
property.
it's a manufactured home. A truck ran off the highway.
A semi-truck went off the
and
highway.
went through one end of that house. Totally ruined it.
It was a manufactured house that could be put on a property.
Right.
But this semi-truck ran it over.
Mm-hmm.
And
it never would have happened if that wouldn't have happened. I mean, they were living in the house. They loved their house.
Uh-huh.
So it was moved to the back of their property across from this house we're renting, and they bought a brand new one. So the house is just sitting there like for 6 months.
An empty half house.
Half house.
And my grandma went over to them and was like, "Are you going to use that?"
No.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
A fucking half of a house.
No, they said it's totaled.
Yeah.
Can we have it? Yeah. Be glad because they
For
were
no money.
Well, because we could take it off their property.
Yeah.
It would cost them
Yeah.
to move that. So it did cost us.
They took this land, made a space, and moved half of a house onto it.
Mm-hmm.
No running water, no electricity for 18 months. And I came and lived with you guys for 2 months that summer while I was in 3rd grade. I did my summer out there, and we all lived like Swiss Family Robinson. No running water, no fucking electricity. We heated up.
Made it work,
on
didn't
a
I?
big basin. You had a big metal basin we put on a kerosene heater, and we
That's
heat
right.
that up. That would be used for cooking and for bathing.
Heating water.
And the water,
bathing.
when you bathed, the water would just fall out of the bottom of the house because there was no plumbing.
Yeah.
It was
sat in the bathtub.
just fall out into
in
the
the
woods.
winter, but in the summer,
just bathe outside.
I made a platform, and you could just be butt naked out there. You're in the woods. So we just stood out there butt naked, and we're washing each other's back. Me and my husband. I'm going, isn't this great? when we get plumbing, guess what? This isn't going to happen.
I mean, you still could.
We're going to be we're going to be taking showers, you know.
But yeah, 18 months. So they would drive down to this gas station. This guy was nice enough to let you fill up at the gas station, big giant Rubbermaid garbage containers, essentially,
of water
that were clean, though they weren't usually.
It was well water.
It was well water,
Good water.
and they would haul it out to the land,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you guys lived for 18 months.
Yes. And then I ordered what they call a potty john. You know what those are?
Porta potty.
And I raked a path through the woods.
Yep.
To go to the potty.
I remember all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a candle in there so you could see at night if you had to go to the bathroom. That's where I get my candle thing from. Because I lit a candle.
She brought one to the hotel.
To the hotel because I put on the back of the toilet at night. And then you don't have to turn the light on. I don't like overhead lights.
Yeah.
That comes from working in an office. I just don't like them. Yeah.
And obviously, like after that, you know, they spent this 18 months getting the house to a workable situation, and they kept building on it as they'd get money over time. And you lived out there for, you know, because we need to wrap up, but which is tough because there's so much life to cover. But I feel like we've done a good job.
Yeah.
But you lived out there with Grandpa all those years, and up until what was it, 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago,
in 2015.
Yeah.
You know, again, little steps. We put a well in, had to have a well dug.
Yep.
And what we did was then we had water coming up through a hose tied to a pole. So now we had our own well water, not running into the house, but we were able to get water. You know, it was really cool. See, everything was an adventure to me. Where a lot of, even my husband said, I don't know how many women would do this. They'd be grumbling. They'd be grumbling. They wouldn't even do this. They wouldn't come out here and live like this. And I go, this is great. Think about it. If life ever gets tough, we know how to survive.
Yeah. It really was. It was cool for me even as a kid. And it was such simple times too. It was.
I mean, we just learned. I would take this big thing off the kerosene heater that we heated water on, and I actually made toast.
I know.
On top of the kerosene
on the kerosene.
I mean, you could fry an egg in a pan, you know?
Yeah.
So
and you guys were out there
neat.
for...
You just come up with ideas. You come up with ideas.
You were out there for 30 years.
You don't have the conveniences.
They were out there for 30 years. And then I was in 2015. I was in New York. I was performing big comedy festival, and I was about to fly.
Awful.
Was about to fly back to LA. I was staying in a house with three other comic friends. And my grandma calls me every morning before I fly anyway, so she calls me that morning to tell me Grandpa had died, just died in his sleep randomly one night. No.
Well, yeah, but it really was from the accident.
I think so.
My husband had a construction accident. It
was 10 months before that, though.
Yeah, but they missed something, and I know that.
He
because
fell.
it was real serious. He had a very serious concussion.
Yeah, he
broke
fell
all
really
his
bad.
ribs, cracked his. He broke a lot of stuff, and yeah, that can heal. But the internal bleeding, I don't think they ever really got on top of.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that it's really sad because, yes, he was home from the hospital for. We got back on our bikes.
Yeah.
Finally.
It was like 4 months after his fall that they had their first, because I posted about it on Facebook. It was like pictures of them with their bikes, and he was
rode
a
out
rock
to
star.
dinner because we rode our bikes every night out to dinner. You know, seniors, you get, like I said, it's great because you get, as a senior, you know, you get your whole meal and your drink for $7. Who would cook?
Right.
I mean, it was great. Plus, we loved to ride, and then we'd ride all through the country after dinner. I mean, that's so relaxing, you know. So I miss all that, and living where we did in North Carolina. We had a creek running through our land, which was beautiful. That actually had a little waterfall. Do you remember that? And I'd always go down there with my dogs. Always had dogs. I always had 2 or 3 dogs. I love my dogs, and so my dogs, we'd go down there, and I'd spend a lot of time down there since a lot of wood. So when the leaves fell, you know, they all went into the creek, and I did a lot of work out there, you know, but I loved it. And I had to rake all the leaves out of the creek, you know, so that you could see the water was crystal clear. I mean, you know, it's just wonderful land. So I raked paths that were 2 miles long.
Yeah, I know. I used to walk them with you, and I'd come visit.
Yeah.
But
Because, I mean,
this is what's crazy about this woman, though. So my grandpa dies, and I was about to go to the airport to fly back to LA from New York. And instead, I went through check-in, and then I went to the service desk, and I said, change of plans. I have to go to North Carolina and get my grandma. So me and my mom met there and met Grandma. And Grandma said, Grandpa's gone. I'm going to pack up what I need from this place, and I'm never coming back. And we did. We packed up 2 pods worth of stuff. It was mainly just a couple sentimental things, mostly just photos. And she gave her house away to a young couple in need. And has not been back. She said, I'm done with North Carolina. This chapter of my life is over.
Exactly.
She gave her house away.
People have to know when a chapter, there's chapters in your life. And when they're over. You got to let go. Move on. It wasn't easy. I don't like where I'm at.
Isn't that crazy?
All of this is crazy. This is wild.
You're just such a cool person.
Yeah.
And not only did I let them have my house, everything in it.
Yeah.
I had some nice. You don't know. I
Gave
mean,
it all away.
I had. My husband was amazing. My house was beautiful. We built, when we added onto this half house, we built a 2-story. And
You gave me a little apartment up there.
yeah, there was an amazing master bedroom,
Beautiful
office,
windows.
master bath.
Somebody came in and painted a mural in there.
I
It was
met
like-
him. I was eating in a restaurant. I was eating in a restaurant where he did all this seaside, artwork. And I asked to meet him. It was the cook. I said, I want you to come to my house and do a thing on my bathroom. And he did a sea sink with whales and
A whole mural.
Beautiful. Yeah.
gorgeous.
All in my bathroom wall. $100. That's all. Yeah.
The whole
This
thing.
kid was so glad to
To work.
he was a young kid. Yeah. And I heard after that actually every restaurant after that wanted him to come in and do these paintings.
So cool.
So if I hadn't caught him when I did,
He
who
would have
knows
been
what
more expensive.
yeah, it would have cost me more. So there was nothing. This was up here, but there was nothing on the bottom, which was still my wall. And I thought that doesn't look right. So that's where I got all the confetti, all the different. Do you remember this?
Yeah, the shimmer stuff.
And
Smushed it.
and threw it on the wall. I made sticky, so that looked like the sand. It looked like all around. Yeah. I got very inventive, just from building, and my husband and I did all this, did the add-on. I mean, we built
By
our house
hand. By hand.
and did not go into debt. We did it as we earned money, and so then the upstairs, my pastor came out and was helping one day, and he said, "Oh, great attics for storage." I said, "I don't store anything. I don't do that. I don't have anything that anything I own, you see. I don't store." I said, "Make that an apartment." And wasn't it cool?
It was so cool.
So it was a day room, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and a deck
Upstairs.
off the day room.
Mm-hmm. That was
Beautiful.
in case anything ever went crazy and I needed a place to live. That was mine.
Yeah. but the staircase, which was yellow pine, done by hand, was absolutely gorgeous. And
Yep.
all his work, that whole bay window.
Well, and the whole 30 years that they lived out there, my grandparent, her last name is Weathers, so Mo Weathers, Kurt Weathers, she started a camp called Weathering the Storms Campground and would cook steaks and massive food every Sunday
And
for
we've-
everybody.
No, every weekend.
Or every weekend.
We fed.
You'd
It was
feed-
called Weathering the
She'd
Storms
feed people.
Camp because people were weathering things in their life, never relaxing, not spending time with each other. This was all starting in society. People would come out there, and this is what's amazing. We never knew how many would come, but God, we always cooked the right amount. And I cooked a lot of food. Like on Monday, I'd start my menu. Tuesday, I'd shop. Wednesday I'd start prepping. It was a full week. We put out a lot of food, good food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
A whole
steak.
spread.
Oh yeah, rolls, desserts. I made all this all week. Vegetables. I mean, name it. Yeah, and then we would put out a basket. If you want to donate to help us buy food, fine. But you know what? Honestly, I don't know how we did it. Most of the time, Kurt and I financed that whole thing. And we would feed. One night we had close to 80 people.
Jesus, I know.
And we fed them.
And it was time to socialize and invest in each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool.
You could play, like we'd have games out. You could play games, or you could just talk, or you could just take a walk through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want us to do a teaching, we'll do it, But it was so cool. Those people loved coming out there. There was nothing like that offered. And then at the end of we couldn't do it all winter because it was outside, of course, at picnic tables. So then I would buy, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I'd buy helium balloons. And everybody we'd sit around a campfire. Everybody would have their balloon. And I go, write on everything on that balloon that you need to give to God, that you need to let go of. And so they'd all write on their balloon. And then we'd all say, okay, release. I would say, okay, release them. Mm-hmm. It was so cool. And then you see all these balloons go up.
And every year since Grandpa died on his birthday, we send balloons up.
Yeah.
We send messages on balloons
Yeah,
up.
I still send them a balloon. Yeah.
So I feel so emotional right now. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's the end of my story right now. He's gone. I hate it.
And now you tour with me.
I'm jealous. Yeah. Not enough. I mean, you're really too far from me.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Well, I come back to Wisconsin way too often. So
sometimes, this is the first time in my life. I'm 76. I'll be 77 in December. And I honestly will say this is the first time in my life I've questioned why.
You're where you are.
Why did you take him from me?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I where I'm at? I don't want to be here.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet.
No, we don't have, well, we're never going to have that.
No, I think we will. I mean, we've gotten a lot of good material out of where you are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, now it's up to me to fix your situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting. Yeah, I want something to happen.
Yeah.
I need something to happen. I would love to be able to, obviously, see Italy. That's on my bucket list.
Italy, Canada.
Canada.
We'll get both of those in before.
I love my husband and I rode our motorcycles up into Canada. That's another neat thing that we did all around Lake Superior, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful ride. Beautiful ride. So, I mean, I miss my motorcycle riding, but not without Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's over. And people ask me, why aren't you still riding? No, that's over. That was what I did with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's different here anyway. I mean, in North Carolina,
you had all the space.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I would never ride in a big city.
Beautiful rides. Yeah. Beautiful
scary.
rides in North Carolina. And I mean, I'm sure there's some in Wisconsin, and I could have, there's groups here, I'm sure, that I could have joined. But see, I'm just at a place where I don't want to do anything without him. It's real hard for me to be around couples.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. So right now, I don't know where I'm at. I'm at a standstill right now.
And it's fun. Isn't that funny? You're 76 and you can still be at a standstill.
Yeah.
We don't know how many times we'll have those in life.
No.
Probably a lot. So, But anyway, we get to enjoy the rest of our day here in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I got this story down.
I am. Thank you.
And, there's more. You'll be around for a while.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
No. I
I think you got some story left to finish.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we'll have to come back and
I'm sure.
do this maybe in another year when we've got some more to tell.
It'd be nice to have some good stuff to tell. But basically, I am grateful for my life. I have to say that. I don't regret anything that I've gone through. Because in life, again, you have a choice. You either deal with it
Or become a victim of it.
Yeah, that would be, to me, that's just not me. How horrible.
Yeah.
That's why people, and I feel bad for people that become so depressed, unhappy, anguished. I mean, that's a terrible place to be. I've not been there. I don't want to go there. Yeah.
Yep.
So I hope that whoever hears this today, I hope that I've helped somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wrote my book. I basically wrote my book for women to let them know that no matter what they've gone through, you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can be okay. It's a choice.
Isn't that true? Isn't that true? I wish you could shake that into a lot of people.
Well,
Find her book on Amazon. It's called Did You Know Her by Mo Weathers. Came out a couple years ago. It's just chilling, waiting for you to read. Any closing remarks, Grandma?
know that again, read my book. I'd love for you to read it, especially if you're
It's a quick read. You read it in a day
Yeah,
or
it's
two.
a quick, even if you're in a place at all, any of what I've been through, if you experienced any part of that, and you're feeling rejected or lonely or depressed or forgotten, whatever it may be, you're special. No matter if nobody's ever told you that. Every human being is special. We're unique in our own way. And we have to, if you're in a situation where you are unhappy, make a plan.
And change it.
You have to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
You can make it better. But it's your choice. It has to be you. Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do this for yourself.
I think that's a good place to end. And you can find the podcast at Future Role Model or Role Model Pod on Twitter. Obviously, read my grandma's book. It's very cheap and a great, fast read. And, you'll get some other pieces that maybe we didn't cover today. It's too hard in 2 hours to cover everything. But I look forward to doing a recap on the next year with you again. And I love you.
Love you too.
Thanks for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.